Hi guys, welcome again. Ross here at Custom Nutrition Chef. I've been joined by a good friend of mine, Tom. He obviously plays rugby, and obviously he's doing sort of part-time modelling as well. So I'm going to have a sort of quick chat with him and ask him a few questions and see what he sort of points across on nutrition and how he keeps healthy and going through his daily day sort of thing. So Tom, how are you?
Wicked. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Long time no see in this dodgy year that we've had so far.
Yeah, see you at the rugby club a few times, kicking a few balls, or trying your best to kick a few balls. And that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah. Still putting them through there. So,
try your best.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, I asked you to come on because obviously, we played a bit of rugby together and stuff like that, and obviously, you've sort of moved on into sort of like your modelling and and all that sort of thing. So, I'll start off with you sort of your rugby journey first. So, what age did you sort of start rugby and then start sort of thinking, when it comes apparel, to have good nutrition to give you the performance you want?
So I actually played football for a year. So the first year, I can't remember. I think you can start football when you're 4 or 5. I played that for 1 year, and then my dad got me a rugby ball for my next birthday, and I started playing rugby, and I stopped the football after the first year, and then played rugby, moved around to various different clubs.
Yeah.
And I was pretty late developer. So my nutrition and stuff didn't really kick in till I was sort of first year college, second year college.
Right.
And I went to college primarily to play rugby anyway.
Yeah.
It was like a really ridiculously dirty bulk during my first year of college, and I was taking a stupid amount of calories and stuff in. But it definitely did work, and I put on loads of weight, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then ever since, I've sort of really looked after myself. I've not always tracked my calories and stuff, but I've always been aware of what I've been eating and how I want to train and how I want to eat in terms of macros and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. So with your rugby and stuff like that, do you find it do you go down like a certain path? Obviously, because obviously you play sort of the back line sort of thing, so you have to be sort of quite nimble, quite fast the way you play. Do you find like you go down like a certain avenue of nutrition to keep you sort of like that balance, or do you go in a different direction?
Well, when I'm training, I've always trained for strength. I've never really trained for aesthetics. Luckily for me, I've got pretty good genes for aesthetics anyway.
Yeah.
So that sort of comes hand in hand. Nutrition wise, I am a bit of a sucker for the summer, getting quite lean because I'm playing sevens anyway. So I'll rapidly drop my calories and up my cardio. But it doesn't really vary. I've never really been into all these sort of different fad diets you can find these days. So you've got the keto and all that sort of stuff. I basically implement, when I'm trying to lose weight, is sort of an intermittent fasting. But the way I look at it is, the only reason for me to do it is if I reduce my time window of eating, instead of say 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, if I say from 12 till 6, the only reason I'm going to lose weight is because I've got less time to eat, and that's literally the only thing.
So do you find that with giving it your less time to eat, do you find like say on game day, do you feel like you've got the right energy to perform at that level, or do you feel like a little bit sort of up and down, or is it quite sort of like medium across the whole board?
So ever since I did my first sort of, like I said, intermittent fast as such, I haven't really eaten breakfast ever since. I feel as though if I eat breakfast, I'm sluggish. And the way I've looked at it as well, I can't remember, I watched a documentary a while ago and it sort of changed the way I looked at things. Is imagine and you would have done it, I'm 21 now, so 21 years of my life. I've woken up every single day. I've been told that you're meant to have breakfast because it's the best meal of the day. I've eaten at a specific time, and then I've eaten lunch at a specific time and dinner. The first sort of week and a half, 2 weeks of intermittent fasting feel really weird because you're trying to get out of a habit that you've done for 21 years. And you're sort of like, is this right? And then after that, I feel so like I've got so much more energy because I don't feel sluggish, like I've weighed myself down. It means I can eat more at lunchtime as well, which is nice. Like after I train, I sort of train midday usually. So after I train, I can eat more. And I just feel a lot better. I don't feel, like I said, sluggish and weighed down, which is nice.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that's from my point of view, because obviously, I still, play rugby and stuff like that. And I totally agree with you, like with the breakfast stuff. Like, I just find if I go to the gym after breakfast, I just feel like I can't get my body to perform. I can't the way that I normally do, or if it gets to game day, like I mean, even if I had a bowl of porridge, I still feel sluggish. Like, 15 minutes, I'm like, am I fit when I know I am fit, like to play the game, but my body's just not reacting to what I need it to do.
No, exactly.
So on your thoughts of like understanding the nutrition side, like with the training, like do you think, like from sort of like the clubs you played for, and the trainers that you've had, like as you've gone on with your rugby career and stuff like that, do you think there's a very big bridge between them two?
As in the connection between nutrition and rugby?
Yeah.
I'd say there's not as much understanding there as there needs to be.
Yeah.
They try and bring it in when you sort of get to count 11 and above. They try and bring nutritionists in for like 1 session, 2 sessions, just to sort of give people an overview. And the knowledge is definitely there to be seen. If you like, especially these days, you can go on the internet, you can find out anything you want to find. But you've got an ever-changing game of rugby where it's not fatties and thinnies anymore. It's everyone's an athlete. Everyone's massive. And people do need more understanding, especially if you're trying to move up into the higher levels of rugby. Then diet and nutrition is definitely a massive key part of all your training.
Do you think that's down to sort of the clubs to bring you? Because obviously, you get the academy players that they're just young and keen, like get in, like get the graft done, play hard, work hard. Do you think that's down to the clubs, or do you think that's down to obviously to the county selectors, or do you think that's down to the actual individual player, or do you think it's a bit of everything?
It's definitely, it depends on what level you're at. So if you're at a club which is smaller down and everyone's just there to recreationally have fun, then nutrition, like, it doesn't really matter too much. A lot of people go on the piss the night before anyway. But as you move up into higher levels, I think you've got a massive point on yourself. If you want to take yourself far, you've got to put in the effort. So if you want to be the best, you've got to eat like the best and help yourself as much as possible. If you don't, some people, like I said, will be gifted and be able to just do it a lot easier than others. But if you don't put in the work, then it's not going to be as easy as it can be. Definitely more help should be given from, say, the RFU and stuff. But I know that if you go on the website, there's always nutritional guides and stuff like that. But more stuff could probably be given by clubs.
Do you think that'd be sort of like better? Like a big thing for me is like education people, like educating how things done. Like for me as a chef as well, like I like to educate people how to cook things properly. Some people like overcook it or undercook it and not getting the actual best of that ingredient. So do you think it could be sort of like quite mandatory to give that knowledge to, obviously, from, I mean, I'm not saying from like a 4-year-old to like 9-year-old, but definitely from like a 12-year-old that has sort of an understanding how their body is reacting to certain things and like upwards.
Yeah, definitely. I have this conversation with so many people. So they'll be like, "Oh, you're into the gym," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I play rugby and I'm into gym." And the first thing they ever say is about food. And then they say, "What do you eat? Just chicken and rice?" And I'm just there like, there's such a big thing around certain things that you have to eat if you want to gain weight and stuff. And realistically, if you want to do specific things, then stuff like chicken and rice is good, but you don't just have to eat that. And people, because of it in the media, just lean foods like chicken and rice. It's just so, and you can enjoy it. And people just thinking it's stuff like chicken and rice, people don't want to go into it because they see it as such like a barrier. But you can enjoy the food that you eat and enjoy the food that you make. And it's so much easier when you do that to actually enjoy the training as well.
I mean, like for me, that's like a massive pet hate for me, because like you see all these books, like, all these sort of, get fit, get lean, and this, you've got to eat chicken, brown rice and broccoli. I'm like, I can't imagine anything more boring than like a plain bit of chicken, bit of rice and a bit of broccoli. Do you know what I mean? Like, spice it up a bit and, see these, like, whether you call them celebrities, and like, for me, what is a celebrity? Do you know what I mean? It's just in the people's eye, really. Do you know what I mean? And they're bringing out these books, and like, for me as a chef, like, I'm looking at these recipes, I'm like, there's no development of flavour in that recipe at all.
It's just so boring and tedious.
Boring. It's just like, right, bit of this, bit of that, sprinkle this, sprinkle that, and they're like, this is really nice. I'm like, I know that's not nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you find that very annoying as well, or do you sort of like just go off on your own sort of like little track and say, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add this, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's massively annoying because, like I said, everyone gets a big overview because people are like, oh, you're a gym goer, you're so boring with what you eat, and it's like, well, I'm not. I have a different way of looking at things. So unless I was trying to prep for a competition, say if I wanted to stand on stage and get stupidly lean, all I do it is by calories. And I try and keep my protein high to keep as much muscle as possible. But if say one day I wanted to go and eat a whole pizza, as long as I'm within my calories, I couldn't care less, and I enjoy with what I eat, and especially when I'm cutting because I'm trying to lose weight religiously. I'll try and eat as lean as possible and eat low calorie meals purely because I can eat more. But like I said, if I want to go off the rails one day and eat a pizza, or I know I'm going to have a big weekend with loads of beers, I'll sort of take that for account in the week, eat slightly less, and then drink more beers at the weekend and still enjoy myself.
Do you think like we say that, and I'm like exactly the same. Like, I know what I need to do to perform to get the best out of me now. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit older than yourself, like, but like I know, like I look at my clients and just say, like, don't look at everyone else. Look at your own recipe.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit strange calling someone a recipe, but if you think about an individual recipe that you're designing or you're making, you've got to understand every level of that recipe. So make sure you get it out exactly how you want it, and I think that's down to like a person as well.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's body reacts differently to certain things. I know that I bloat ridiculously easy. I could look at a piece of bread and my face would blow up like a train. But I know that I enjoy carbs as well. So one day I want to eat carbs, then I'll do it. And if I stick to my calories, maybe for the next day and a half, 2 days, I'll be slightly more bloated, but I'm not going to gain any more weight. I'm not going to look any more less lean. It's just like a personal self-conscious thing, I guess. And as soon as you sort of touch the bodybuilding, weightlifting world, your mindset changes about how you want to look. And it's a massive thing in terms of nutrition as well. When nutrition then steps into it, is how you look at different types of food.
So like, I mean, going on sort of back to sort of the social media thing, do you think that like the social media like sort of gives people that wrong sort of image of like, right, to look like this in 6 weeks, you've got to do this, this and this. Calorie counting, you can't eat this, because I've done like a bit of research myself, like before I started my own company, and basically, looking at all these sort of diets, like, red fruits are bad, like, like if you juice a fruit, like it's a lot better than actually if you eat it whole. I'm like, well, no, that's incorrect, because you're putting more sugar content into your body because you're taking away the fiber of the actual fruit or vegetable.
Do
you think something could be sort of slightly changed, because a lot of people are so image conscious, aren't they, to and how they've been seen in sort of like the public eye? Do you think that could be sort of slightly changed and say, look, you don't have to do this to look like this?
Oh, mate, it needs to be massively changed. It's not slightly. It's the first thing you go on your Instagram, you go on your social media, you click on your suggested, guaranteed there's 3, 4, 5, 6 people topless that want to look good. And you sort of, you try and relate yourself to those people, and we all do it. And people will say they don't, but everyone does it. Everyone looks at them and goes, oh, he's got a nice this, she's got a nice that. And everything these days is a money-making scheme. So people will change things slightly and say, oh my God, I lost this much weight in this many days. And it's like, yeah, you did. And it's not because you drank those shakes that were 200 calories instead of a meal. It's because you've replaced a meal that was 1,000 calories with a shake that is 2,000. So all you've done is put yourself in a calorie deficit. It's because people are scared of things they don't understand. But if the results are then coming from the thing they don't understand, they're still going to do it without any questions. And your question, does the knowledge need to be there? Massively. People need to understand, like the shakes and stuff, the meal replacement shakes, nothing against them, nothing against them at all. But people need to understand that it's not the shake being a miracle that's making you lose weight. It's because simply you're taking a meal out of your day and replacing it with a drink. You might as well have a Lucasade instead of the meal. It's pointless.
I mean, yeah, it's quite interesting to say that because, like, I've seen, I've just sort of had a client come to me and like he's played like rugby league like all of his career and stuff like that, and he's a part-time plumber as well. So, and basically he's been out for a year with injury. He's just sort of started a new family as well, and basically he's just come to me and said like, look, Ross, I just want to eat better, and obviously just put on a little bit more weight. And I'm like, well, okay, let's go through this journey together, yeah. Like, what are you doing in the morning, first thing in the morning? Like, when are you eating? Like, what are you drinking? What's your worst day scenario? How much sleep you're getting, obviously, with a new family, and breaking these little steps down gradually and getting him to understand what he needs to do to change that. He's been with me, I think just under a month now, so close to a month, and he's put on 2 kilo. And I know that, some people are like, 1 month, 2 kilo, but to build that weight correctly, his body to perform, that's actually quite good. Like his mindset now, and his body's like, he's reacting better, he sleeps better, he's got more energy in the day to do his job, and obviously he's training. Do you think we could, I don't know, not sort of like get everyone in this massive bubble and say, look, right, strip yourself straight back. Don't be sort of like too scared to be honest with each other.
Yeah.
And just sort of let them understand this and your mindset, like, be outspoken. Do you know what I mean? Like, because everyone speaks about, mental health and, all that sort of thing. Like, do you think can be more open-minded with that?
Yeah, you need to critique yourself. If you don't critique yourself at all, then you're never going to change and get better at what you're doing. Yeah. And you'll just be stuck in the same position as you were at the start if you don't try and do that. And it's the same for like a working environment. If you don't take yourself out of your comfort zone, then you'll never get better. You never progress. And some people are fine with that, and that's fine. We need to normalize people just being happy with what they're doing. And normalize people being happy with who they are. But if people are looking to push forward, then they need to take themselves out of their comfort zone and say, look, this is what I'm doing wrong. If you're trying to improve your chest in the gym, then you need to break it down and say, look, I'm not doing enough of this on my chest. I need to train more. Or say your legs are too big. No one can ever have legs that are too big, and I wish I had bigger legs, but I need to do less of that or whatever. So it's different things. Like especially like if you're playing tennis and your shot's going too far to the left, it's probably because you're pulling across. You need to critique that and say, look, I need to hold my form and keep it straight. And there's so many different aspects, especially from a sporting background, that you can take into sort of everyday real life. And it will help, like you said, nutrition and changing how you are as a person and breaking down every single thing that you do, whether it be sleep, your new style of life, your pattern of how you eat, when you eat, what you're eating. And if you just change it slightly, it can be a miracle of what happens.
Yeah. I mean, he's sort of getting happier with it as well, and he's like, his missus is happy, like, because he's just got more energy to help around the house and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's quite good. Like, I've got yourself on it because obviously, you've done your rugby, you've gone like you've hit some like good clubs. So you've played county, like a few years as well. And the main sort of aspect, because I find it quite sort of similar in sort of way, because like people look at rugby players and like, oh yeah, look at him or look at her, and like they look great, they're big and strong, the barely and all that sort of thing. On the sort of flip side of that, obviously you're sort of into your modeling as well. Do you find like, do you have sort of like a flip sort of understanding of, right, I've got to do this to look like this for like a photo shoot, or do you look like, right, I need to look at this so I still keep my mass so I can play rugby?
So I'm quite lucky at the moment as there's no rugby, and there probably won't be for the next sort of 2 months. So I've just been pretty lenient with what I've been eating anyway. You've also got, with the whole modeling thing, you've got the seasons of different shoots. So winter, obviously you can have winter clothing. Summer, it's going to be more topless based, but there is stuff all year round for different things. The way I train in the gym is to look good, even though I'm training strength. I train to look good, because if I didn't, I'd just have no interest in the gym. And that's just the way I sort of find myself enjoying the gym. Some people will train to be strong, and people will feel happier when they hit a PB than if they've got abs, and that's fine. And people, like I said, going back to normalizing things, normalize everybody. And there's so much stuff. I don't know if you've seen the massive row about Gymshark at the moment and everything they've been doing towards body types, but we need to normalize how we look at stuff, and that's fine.
I mean, like it's quite interesting saying that. As a brief sort of like little bit I saw about that, because like if you look at sort of their range, it's like either super thin, like on a beach, or you got these massive sort of like bodybuilding looking guys.
Yeah.
Like I follow one of them like on his Instagram and his socials, and just the way, like I like the way he trains. Like he's quite sort of a normal way of training, but he does it like in a way that it's not like working too hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, he goes into some people and they're just like they're screaming, you know, lifting as much like weight as possible. I'm just like, all you're going to do is literally damage either your back, your shoulders, you know, your stomach, or anything like that. Like, but he's just quite sort of like simple in how he does it, and you know, he's quite, you know, he's got a good physique on him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you find like when you're going on shoots, like I don't know whether blokes are the same, because I've never been on a sort of a modelling shoot. So, but do you find the guys look at you and like say, well, hang on, look how good he looks, or what's he doing that I can be better, or
yeah, like, it's the same. It's an aspect of everything. Say you go to a nightclub with your mates, and every group of mates has people that look better in different things, and you'll be sat there, and everyone thinks it. I know you've got a message, but if you're sat with your mates, and there's a girl, and everyone sort of stares at her, you look at all the other boys and be like, right, what have they got that's better than me? To pull her. And you'll be stood there in a studio or whatever, and I've had it before. I've been stood with blokes that are massively taller than me, and I've stood there like, oh, he's taller than me, he's gonna get more limelight. And I then watched something the other day which opened my eyes up, and there's a theory. It's not actually a theory, there's a name for it. And we think that we, like, in our person, the world revolves around us. So we'll be sat at the traffic lights, and we'll be like listening to music, and a car pulls up next to us, and we'll think, oh shit, they're staring at me. And then someone will cross the road, and we'll think, oh shit, they're staring at me. When in reality, those people couldn't give a toss about you. But because our mind just overthinks things and ticks it. So yeah, of course, I'll be stood in a studio, and people will be like, people will be around me, and I'll be like, what are they thinking about me? Am I not what they expected to me? Like, but if you normalize, and going back to normalization again, if you normalize trying to feel the best you can be, it is different in a modeling environment where you're trying to look good purposefully for a photo. But if you're walking down the street and someone's staring at you, it's probably because they're just staring at you. They don't actually give a shit like what you look like or anything. So.
Do you find sort of like, do you think that's like people's individual thoughts, or do you think that's just a period of time of social media and like newspapers and just saying, you know, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, got to do this, and it's just like put that into every person's head that, right, if I read this, if I take this, I'm going to look like this.
Fake news, isn't it, really? There's so many things out these days that can sort of control how you think about certain things, whether it's your emotional state or it's an election that's coming up, or etc. etc. If enough people tell you something, or you tell yourself something enough, you'll believe it. So it goes around in circles in your head, and you overthink it too much. That's why people either get an eating disorder, or your mental state sort of goes downhill, because you'll speak to people, and we've all been through it, and I've put a post on Instagram about it and stuff. Mentally, if you get really depressed, the first thing that people will say to you is go and speak to people, whether it's your friends, your family and stuff, and your initial reaction will be, oh, I don't want to speak to them because they'll either judge me or they just don't care. And that's exactly what it is in everyday life. You think that people are judging you, when realistically they either want to help or they don't care, and it's one of those two things.
It's like brutally honest, isn't it, really?
Realistically.
I mean, like, respect, like nutrition and sort of mental health is, it's quite sort of a close thing for myself, because I've had like a few people, go down that road, and you sort of you try and sort of be there for them, but in a sense, like, if I say to you, like, oh Tom, I'll come on, cheer up, or come round or stuff like that, like, you're responsible, like, well, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I want to cheer up, but I don't know how to cheer up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with like nutrition as well. Like, you say like, oh, I'll put on loads of weight, I don't feel well. So, well, just get down the gym, like do some cardio. That's probably what they're thinking, but they can't actually physically do it because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah. So
like with, obviously, like with PTs and stuff like that, like, I've had a female PT on a video previous. And do you think like they're just sort of trying to get clients in as quick as possible to make the money, or do you think they actually care about the client?
I think that at the moment, and I've got every respect in the world for personal trainers, because especially starting out as a new personal trainer, you have to do so many hours. It's a joke. I work in gyms, and there's new PTs, and they do first month, 2 months, they do like a 70-hour week just to try and find clientele.
Yeah.
And it's such a saturated market, especially with everything you've got on social media and the internet these days. You can find anything that you want for half the price.
Yeah.
So walking into a gym and speaking to a PT, you'll just brush them off like, oh, I can just look online.
Yeah.
And a lot of PTs, like you said, we'll just bring in people for money. Finding a good PT and a PT that actually cares, and you can get like a friendly relationship with, where it becomes less of a personal trainer and more of a training partner, is something that is hard to find. And I think that comes as well from the gym that you train in. And I've got nothing against them, but big gyms such as Pure Gym and The Gym and all the gym groups that are like that, they'll just bring in personal trainers because they want people in there for hours and they want to attract people. Whereas if you go to your smaller gyms that have potentially equipment that's not as good, but it's still got all the equipment that you need, and you're in an environment where people want to train and there's a family there, those PTs that are in there would have had to go through interviews and sort of show off who they are as a personal trainer to get into that gym. And when they get in, it's because they're seen as a person that can interact well with the customers, instead of just someone that's there to do a session at 1 o'clock every day and then clean the floor and then go home. They're actually there for their clientele to actually improve them.
Do you find as well, like, I mean, like for me, like I found a really good trainer. Unfortunately, he moved to Ireland with his now wife. And he was speciality in sort of like explosive training. So like with my sprint work, I dropped off a few seconds in my sprint work, and I approached him, and he was very lean, but just very defined in like his body type. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't sort of like massive up here, massive arms and stuff like that. But like he got my set a few seconds back, just how he trained it. It was like very simple stuff. Do you know what I mean? Do you find like with people that have got like these massive shoulders, massive arms, but then you sort of go waist down and like they've got sort of like little legs? Do you know what I mean? Like what's your, I mean, I know like everyone has a first impression, do you know what I mean? But what's your like thought straight away? Like, well, I'm not going to go to that PT because he's out of proportion, or I'm not going to go to that like the female PT because she just looks like she just walked out of a swimwear catalog sort of gym catalog sort of thing. What's your thoughts on it?
The way I look at things is, if say you're surrounding yourself with a load of people that have no job and all they ever do is drink alcohol and do drugs and mess around and do absolutely nothing, you'll then become that person. If you then change your attitude and surround yourself with people that are all striving to be the best and get a decent job, smash a degree or whatever, you'll then want to push yourself forward and be like that. So you are the people you surround yourself with. And if you take that aspect to the gym, if you train with someone that's absolutely massive, whether they're on steroids or whatever,
Yeah.
you'll then train to get massive. And
Right.
if you want to train with a PT
Yeah.
who is lean and your goal is to get lean, they will 9 times out of 10 make you lean because they know how to do it. And if your goal is to look like a swimwear catalogue woman, you will then potentially become as lean as her.
Yeah.
And if your mindset isn't to look good and your mindset is just to keep fit and healthy, they can still do that. But maybe you'll be better off going to someone who's, like you said, more just targeted at enjoying the gym and doing things.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you are with your physical activity. If you're an elite level athlete, you probably know what you're doing anyway if you're up there.
Yeah.
But if you're lower down, if you want to get into the bodybuilding world or you want to get into the fitness world, the first thing I'd say is find yourself a training partner and a good one that you enjoy, a friend. Maybe they've got experience, maybe they haven't. Start together and then look for help in what you want to do. Maybe there's people in the gym that you're in and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, I wish I was like that. Or, oh my God, I wish I could do that calisthenic stuff. They're doing all these flips and stuff. Or you for some reason look at CrossFit and think you enjoy that. I don't know why you do that, but whatever.
There's some things on that CrossFit I'm like,
don't get me started on CrossFit.
On that.
But surround yourself with what you want to do and you'll do it eventually. It just might take a bit of time. And people don't understand that things take time.
Yeah.
And you say to people, the average cut's 12 weeks, or the average bulk is 12 weeks.
Yeah.
You say to people, 12 weeks, and they'll be like, oh, it's easy, 12 weeks, that's nothing. That's 3 months. So they get a week in, and I can't do it. And I'm like, well, you've done a week.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't do it. And I'm like, well, it's not as easy as it sounds, but do it for another week. And then they get to the second week, and they're like, I've lost a bit of weight, but it's not easy. And then they'll get 6 weeks in, and they'll be like, right, I'm halfway there, I could just quit. And I'm like, well, you could do, and you look better already.
Yeah.
But like, how annoyed would you be if you didn't get to the end? And then they get to the end and they're like, right, I've done it now. Next year, I'll just smash it even more. And then their mentality changes. And then they've sort of put themselves in the position they wanted to be in.
Yeah.
But then again, you've then got to be careful because if they became so obsessed with that diet, that's when disorders and stuff start to come in.
Yeah.
So you've got to get the knowledge from someone like yourself with nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you've got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you can massively mess up. But it's not as easy as it sounds and not as hard as it sounds.
It is. It's literally doing like step by step, isn't it? Day by day, week by week.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, if you've got that core group around you, or especially if you've got like friends, like, you know, I'm quite sort of lucky. Like I've got like friends like yourself, like they're into the rugby and stuff like that. And you know, some of my chef friends, like years have gone now where chefs just sort of like cane, like, you know, alcohol and whatever else, and like they're just big and fat. Like everyone wants to sort of like be healthy because, you know, I think the young chefs are coming through now, they're having sort of younger families, and you know, they want to be there for their children and stuff like that, so they can sort of, you know, take them down to the rugby clubs, take them down to the football clubs and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Also, it's like understanding, like, you know, you don't have to just like guzzle all this sort of bad stuff into you. Do you know what I mean? Because it affects people different way. Like, you know, it might make someone angry, it might make someone just miserable, and then when you've got that, then it starts stepping into the mental health. And you know, once you sort of got that, you can either go down a very dark path or you can go down a very light path. But it's making that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's going back to the whole rugby thing. If you look at generations, how athletes have changed.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be elite and not elite, and now there's a massive fine line.
Yeah.
And there's people you could take from sort of championship level and just put them in a first team squad at Premiership level, and they wouldn't fare too badly.
Yeah.
Because they've got that aspect of training and that aspect of like rigidity.
Yeah.
Because they know what they're doing, they know how they want to train.
Yeah.
And people, it's difficult to find where you are in that sort of pecking order.
Yeah.
But who's to say that even if you're at amateur level, you can't be as massive or as big as you want to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And going back to the whole chefs wanting to look good as well now, everyone in day-to-day life is being seen more on social media. You could accidentally walk past a camera and see yourself on TV, whereas 20 years ago, you didn't get any sort of exposure to the internet. I didn't even have Bebo or MSN or BBM, but there was no sort of pictures or anything on there. It was just messaging. And then if you go back even further, I wouldn't have been alive, but there was literally nothing. Probably the newspaper, right? Newspaper, the radio. So as social media sort of hits its peak in what you can do, and obviously it will never peak, but where we are now is probably where it will stay for a while, in terms of you're able to FaceTime, you're able to look at people's photos instantly within seconds. Like, you could go online now and find a photo of anyone you wanted to, realistically. And while that is still there and that aspect is still around, which it will be forever, people are naturally going to want to look better, because they know that at any point, and my friends do it, and your friends probably do it, your wife probably does it, she says, look, we'll take a photo, and you're like, shit, all right, I'll take a photo. And if you don't feel good, you're like, no, I don't want a photo. But if you do feel good, you're like, oh, okay, I'll have a photo. And that could go anywhere in the world. So that aspect of people wanting to look good for their families, etc., is probably because they know that at any point they can be seen by anyone.
But do you think, like, having that sort of like fine line of people wanting to feel good and just sort of feeling good, like just that natural, like, because like for me, like with the business, like I want people to feel natural what they're doing. I don't want them to sort of like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Ross, it's time to do this, it's time to cook this sort of food, and like I'm panicking, like I don't know what I'm doing, blah blah. But again, with that side, I'm always sort of in contact with them. Do you know what I mean? Do you think we can sort of like close it down to the extent that where people don't have to go and, you know, slug themselves for, you know, 8 hours in the gym every day, you know, drink this and eat this like every day? Do you think we could sort of make it a lot closer to just for people to feel naturally good about themselves, rather than sort of like looking at someone like, oh, I didn't look like him, how am I going to do that? Because already in the back of your mind, you're like, well, it's tempting fate, isn't it?
So obviously I'm trained as a fitness instructor as well. I don't tend to do it much because I don't, not that I don't enjoy it, but because of how saturated the market is and stuff, I don't. But if people like my friends and stuff, they come to me and they say, look, I want to lose this much weight. How long will it take? What do I do? The first thing I'll say to them is, what do you enjoy doing most? So say they want to lose 10 kilograms. I say, what do you enjoy? And if they say they enjoy rowing, I'm not going to just make them row, because if you do too much rowing, you start to hate it, right? But I say, look, if that's something you enjoy, just go and row, try and hit this many calories or this many minutes, 3 days a week, and see how you do. And then if you can find what people enjoy, find the foods they like. If they're just eating chicken and rice for 12 weeks straight or whatever it is, they're just going to fucking hate chicken and rice for the rest of their life. It's like if you've gone out and got absolutely pissed and you've done a whole night of vodka, that first night you ever did vodka and you got paralytic and you were dead in the park. The next morning you wake up, anything that smells like vodka, or if you've been mixing it with Coke all night, the smell of opening a bottle of Coke is just horrendous, and you just feel like PTSD. And it's finding something that they enjoy and then linking it with the food that they enjoy. If they hate the weightlifting and then they hate fish, you're not going to make them weightlift and eat fish, because if they feel shit about training, one, they won't get the best out of it and train properly, and two, they just won't want to do it. But if they enjoy running on a treadmill and they enjoy high impact, low reps, then make them run on a treadmill with high impact, low reps. And if they like pizza, don't just give them pizza. Obviously, you probably know about that. But let them eat a pizza once a week, whether it's a healthier option, pizza with a low calorie base, and they've got the vegetables and stuff that they like to eat on it. Then I'd say, right, go and eat it. Or if they do love chicken and rice, be like, right, eat your heart out of chicken and rice, go for it, but try and change it up and enjoy what you're doing with it.
Awesome. Well, I mean, again, I just want to say that, like, thanks for like coming on and having that
pleasure, mate.
You know, it's quite interesting to see it, obviously, from like myself and you, so like playing rugby, and obviously for the modelling side, and how you looking at it, you know, from your point of view, like being sort of a young guy as well. So, you know, it's quite sort of good that, you know, you don't have to be this old person with all this knowledge to actually understand what they're doing. So thanks for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Thank you for inviting me. It was good to actually, it was quite good to see, because I've never really spoken about my opinion on it. Also, you asking me questions has sort of made me realise the way I look at it, which is nice to sort of understand my own knowledge a bit more, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Ah, good.
Wicked.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to Customer Nutrition Chef. Listening to myself and Tom talking about all nutrition and good foods and all that. Hope everyone's safe and well. Looking obviously into the new year. Check out my socials as well for all the new recipes and upcoming obviously into January. Get them health kicks going and just enjoy cooking. Happy New Year as well, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.